There's been a snub.
Oh, you think there has been? Yes,
I
that's
have.
correct.
So there's a game right there. Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
My name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And today we're going to be telling you about the Kennerspiel Jahres nominated games.
Yeah.
And we're going to tell you who should win and who we think will win. These are some good games.
They are. They are.
Okay, let's bring them out and let's tell you about it.
Do you want to do it in order or should I just bring them all?
So these are the nominated games this year for the Kennerspiel Jahres. Now, what is this award?
It's like the spiel, but for heavier hobby games, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kenner actually, I believe, translate to expert or connoisseur or something like that.
Okay.
So these are more the expert games. They're more geared towards people who play board games. They know how rules work. They're not accustomed.
Know how rules work.
Well, they do, because a lot of the spiel folks, like could be their first game. It's
You're
a
right.
family game.
You're right.
They're learning to play games for the first time. But people know how to play games now, and this is the category for those types of folks.
This award is actually like pretty new comparatively to the spiel at 2011.
2011,
Yeah.
Seven Wonders was the first winner of this award.
And amongst other winners includes Wingspan. So
I wrote some other ones down.
Oh, there you
There's The Crew,
Uh-huh.
which we all know and love. There's Quacks of Quedlinburg, or Quacks now.
Yep.
And then last year, Daybreak won, which is a cooperative game.
Yeah. And now we've got these three that we're going to talk about today.
Before we talk about them, I do want to say there's been a snub.
Oh, you think there has been? Yes,
I
that's
have.
correct.
So there's a game right there. It is called The Gang. The Gang was nominated for this award, or recommended for this award. It didn't quite make the nominations, but this game has won the world by storm, and it is such a fantastic game. And I'm sure you've heard us talk about it, but I will say this game, at least, I don't know if it should have won, but it should have been nominated.
Honestly, fair.
It should have been nominated.
I get
it should have been. But with that out of the way, let's tell you about each of these games. Let's tell you about what we think of them, how they work, and then we'll tell you who we think should win and who we think will win the award.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's start over there with Looot.
Now this is Looot. Now Looot is a fun worker placement type of game.
Yeah,
you have a collective map,
Yeah.
and in your turn you're placing workers adjacent to either your own worker or any worker or the little Viking pier.
Yeah.
And what you're trying to do is you're trying to collect different resources and tiles for your own map so you can surround tiles and score victory points. Now every turn you'll have an option to bring in a Viking ship, which is a new objective, adding to the objectives you already have on your board. And that's essentially the game. It's a puzzle of trying to collect various tiles and objectives. There's conditions for collecting various tiles. And if you collect and surround your goal tiles, you'll score those points. You can increase your scoring. There's levels of kind of layering up. There's some asymmetry between the boards. But in general, it's a really fun game with that worker placement mechanic that really teaches you almost as you go.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like I would call it like a map builder. Because although the worker placement is like really important to the game, I think where it really shines is that like puzzle of making sure you take long ships or goals when you're ready to, because at the end of the game they're actually worth negative points if you don't finish them. But if you take one that isn't good for you, then you're not going to score a whole lot. And then there's like this multiplying combo effect that really gets going that is exciting and different from what you would expect from like again, I don't want to call it a worker placement game because it is just like you placing them out on empty spaces on the board and collecting whatever resource you land on.
Is that
so like
not technically?
Yes, but there's no like elaborate action with it.
Well, you're also blocking people from the worker placement spaces.
Yeah, I guess, but like that's more of like a route build, anything for blocking, because you're blocking for castles.
Just very
and
against
stuff
worker
like that.
placement in this one, are you?
It is. I get, like, I don't know. It's just a different way to think about it, I guess.
What did you think of Looot when playing the game?
It was fun. I don't know if it's my type of game. Yeah, I don't know. It's unique. That's what I like about it. But I just like, it didn't feel as grindy as I had hoped.
Oh, you wanted it to be more?
I wanted it to be a little bit more.
Fair. We recently replayed all three of these kind of in preparation for this video. And at first, I was kind of lukewarm on this game, but playing it the second time, I really, really enjoyed it.
It's better at a higher player count.
Yeah, the puzzle count, the blocking of like people's meeples, because I think I was trying to make routes between the watchtowers and people kept blocking my routes. But then just like the fun aspect of that, like area control with your own board control, with set collection, with satisfying goal achievement, it was a really, really good time. The only thing I will say that I don't like is the cover of this game is gorgeous. It's such a beautiful game. But on the table, it is ugly.
It does not translate.
It is just one green blob of things. And I wish they had even like a character on the player board. Because the characters are so, like, they're full of character. They're so neat to see. Like, they could have reused that art and put it on the player boards. So I think that was a missed opportunity. And I did not enjoy that aspect of it. But if you enjoy that, that's Looot.
This is probably a good time to mention, because I did mention this in our spiel video, is that all 3 of these games are pretty dang good. It's just that we're talking about who should win, who will win, so we're going to be a bit nitpicky on this, and things like art translation from box to board is something that we really think is important in being top level tier.
Yeah, definitely play all these games. They're fantastic. In no way we're saying that none of these are. But it's fun to nitpick, especially when awards are on the line. And that is Looot.
Let's talk about Faraway next.
Tell us about it.
This is a card drafting, not tableau builder, but line builder. Let's call it a line builder, where you are going to be building and drafting cards from left to right. As you play them, you'll get bonuses for playing ascending numbers. You'll get bonuses for and each card, well, not each card, most of the cards will have goals on them and things that you need to be able to activate the goal. The thing about this, though, is you play left to right, and then at the end of the game, you'll flip everything over and score right to left. That's where this game gets really interesting, and I'll both applaud and push it a little, because I think that it can get very confusing at times, and then it feels really bad when going back through scoring, realizing you didn't actually achieve one of your goals, and then you score 0. That being said, 0 in at least some of your cards is almost feels necessary, because you need those. You need those things to be able to activate later on cards that will get you more points. So it's like this cool little balance that you need to strike.
In essence, it's a very simple set collection game.
It is, yeah.
But the mechanism of planning ahead and revealing kind of backwards and scoring, I love the way it tickles my brain. I feel like still I play this game and I'm so confident that I have it, and I flip the cards and I'm like, how did I miss that? I knew I needed this icon. I knew I should have drafted that. Why didn't I? And the art in this game is really inviting. The simplicity, it's only 8 rounds.
Yeah.
So you do 8 rounds of drafting, and then you score, and then you can play again, and you can come back to it, and you can kind of see how the game evolves. They also recently had a mini expansion that throws a few more cards into the mix and how you can experience the game. My overall thoughts with Faraway have been fantastic. It's such a fun game to show to people, because that first game is going to break people's brains.
Yeah, you almost need to play this game twice, because once you understand how the scoring works, then you're like, oh, okay, let's try it again.
But it's also fun because you can play that very first card. You're like, this is what I'm going to try to score for the most, because I know this card's being revealed last.
You do.
And you build your strategy around it. Sometimes you forget about it, but then you come back to it and you just feel so good to kind of compare and see the scores game to game.
And then we forgot to mention about the artifact cards.
You did. You mentioned them. If you play cards in a row, you'll get special.
No, I did. I mentioned you get a special effect for playing ascending cards, but you do get these artifact cards that are always part of your scoring set. So at the very beginning, when you start scoring, it'll be 1 card plus all of the artifacts that you've been able to collect.
Yeah, they'll apply to your, and they can meet the requirements and really help you out. And that's another layer of the game. It's like a lot of the lower cards, they don't give you as much scoring. A lot of the higher cards do, but playing cards in ascending order gives you a bonus. So you're kind of weighing that.
And those artifacts really help you finish the restrictions on the cards that are required to be able to score the card. So
that's so good. And that's Faraway.
And last but not least, we have Endeavor Deep Sea.
Now, this is a big game, and this is a big box full of components and glory.
It's a table hog.
It is a table hog.
But in a good way.
In this game, what you'll be doing is simply following your player board in all the steps. You'll be acquiring crew to explore the deep sea. You'll be sending out your little discs to take various actions with your little ships across the board. These involve potentially exploring more of the board, potentially helping the wildlife conservation. What other actions?
Journaling, diving, moving. That's like
the 5 main ones.
Yeah.
And then as the game continues, you'll see the board come to life. And you'll have a little player board that gives you more discs every round. It'll give you more opportunities to take discs back from your workers, let you explore in the deeper areas, and overall grow your engine, as we like to call it. A little bit of an engine building game.
Yeah, it's like an engine builder exploring tableau thing. And it's got like a lot of different layers to it. I will say, I say this with every engine builder, is that an engine builder that starts off really slow so that people can get like invested into their strategies and kind of learn how the game sort of flows, ending in that point where you're really, really like spending a lot of time in the last rounds, like deciding what you need to do, and then hoping that hoping you had one more round is like sound for a great engine builder. And Endeavor's Deep Sea does do that, I think. And I really, really appreciate that.
I think what this game has is, one of our friends said this, and I really liked the analogy. It kind of has like 3 acts, like to a movie almost, where you have Act 1 where you're like, we're all here. Yeah. What are we going to explore? Like, we're only going to take one action in the first round. That's all I'm going to do is sonar. That's it. And then the middle of the game where you're just like, ooh, things are beginning to happen. And then closer to the end of round 6, you're like, the game is ending. What can I do to make sure I leave an impact, to make sure I explore all the games? The other thing I really like about this game is each of the tiles in the different depths are essentially a mini puzzle. You can journal, like primarily journal, and if you journal, maybe you'll get this bonus. There could be a combination of conservation of the wildlife and diving, and how do you kind of mix those two and potentially find a worker or find one of your crew members that specializes in that. Your story really gets built throughout the game. The more ships that you have, the game really evolves. There's also various different missions. We've played through a few of them now already. They're all very different, and they do tell the story itself. This game truly feels like it has it all.
Yeah, so just to point out the missions thing too, is like the setup is different, but the scoring is different. And instead of having like that sign where you like, you shuffle a deck and then flip up 3 objectives for the end of the game, like this is missions that add to the thematic presence of this game and also change your strategy completely. So although the 3 missions typically do like interconnect somehow, it's really interesting to see how from mission 1 to mission 2 to mission 3, how you have grown in the way that you play the game, but also how you change your strategy based on those goals and the tiles you end up revealing. Because maybe the entire board is a lot of conservation spots with not a whole lot of sonar spots. It is possible that that is going to happen. So how do you decide what crew members you're going to take, decide what pillar or row you're going to grow in faster? And it's just really interesting decision spaces that I have come to really appreciate.
Every one of these games has felt incredible, and I think the last thing I'll add that I really, really enjoy was, I remember one of the days that we were playing this game, like, oh, is there a reference card? But you don't really need it because it's all on the board. The board tells you exactly what to do. It's very like intuitive of how everything flows into the game. There is iconography present throughout this game. There's quite a bit of it, but none of it is overly confusing. Most of the time we looked at stuff and we would guess what it is, and then we check, be like, oh, that is correct. So the game just feels intuitive. The design seems really clean, and it's been a fantastic game at our table.
Now this one is based off of a previous game as well, so I should mention that. We've never played the other game, Endeavor.
I think it had an icky theme.
Yeah, and this theme is really interesting.
Very
to us.
cool.
Along with all of these, I know Faraway doesn't like have a super solid theme that's being integrated into it, but it is about like building and walking and traveling through these different spaces. So it works.
And those are the 3 games that are nominated this year. Now on to the part that you've all been waiting for.
We're going to tell you which one we think should win and which one we think will win.
Let's start off with should. We're going to point to the game that we think should win. 3, 2, 1.
Nice.
Now, I think the reason it should win is it is a little, I will say it is a little bit heavier than some of the other games that have won this game in the past. But this game does such an incredible job at introducing you to the game. you have everything laid out in front of you. It's not, no one really needs to study the rules and get everything down. You can jump in, you can really get to play the game, get to experience it. There's a story that comes about. There's memories that are built. There's strategies that are formed, and every game will feel very different. And because there's so much of the game that's yet undiscovered with those face down tiles, you'll want to come back again and again without that necessarily campaign daunting feel that some other games have.
Yeah, I think everything that you said, just adding on to the fact that like, because there's so much replayability in this box, as somebody who is maybe just getting into the hobby, this game offers a lot, and you don't have to have a lot of other games. It introduces a bunch of different mechanics. It stays light at the very beginning and begins to get crunchy, not just through like round 1 all the way to round 6, but as you progress through those missions, it gets a little bit more complicated and complex in the way that you are making your decisions. I think that's really, really interesting. So it's, in my opinion, really inviting, while also still being able to maintain like the heavier side of what gaming is. And I think that for that alone, it should win.
It should. It really should. Now, who do we think will win? Ready? Do you have it in your brain?
This one was hard for me, but I do know.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. This is the first year, actually. Pause for a second. If you're interested in learning about the Spiel des Jahres awards and and our opinions there, you can check out our other video. But yeah, Ilya, we'll put it there. But this is the first year that I think me and Ilya have both had different answers.
Oh, for both of them?
For both of them.
Yeah, we always do a Spiel video. This is actually our first year video where we're doing these as a separate video.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Tell me why you think it will win.
I need to sneeze. Achoo!
Bless you.
That's it. That's why I think it will win.
The sneeze.
The sneeze. No, I think I've talked about it already. I have a hard time. I'll do this. Why I think the other ones are not as good as this one. I think Faraway is an interesting choice. I think the creativity and the ingenuity is there, but I also think that it lacks a little bit in replayability. Yeah, we can argue all of these points. Remember, I'm being nitpicky.
Keep going.
I'm being nitpicky. And for that reason, I think Endeavor Deep Sea has an edge on
Looot?
that. No, I will get there. I think Looot is also one of those games that I think is really interesting, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe for me, it didn't hit the right spots, so I have like a bit of a bias opinion there. I think that like, most importantly, the theme is there, but it's not like, it's sort of to your art point. It's not like super integrated into the actual game.
That's fair.
And I felt like we're talking, these awards capture a lot of different categories and rubric. So like, that's important when it does come to deciding who should win. I think Endeavor Deep Sea does a good job at checking all of the boxes. And that's kind of why I think it should win. Outside of, or will win, that's why I would say it will win. Outside of what I said should win. That was a complicated way of saying it.
I like that. I hope it does win because I think it should win. But I think Faraway will win for a few reasons. One of the reasons is just the accessibility of the game. First of all, it's affordable.
It is,
It is also really easy to teach. It's also really easy to play to the table and play in 20 minutes. You're going to be spending 30 minutes per player for this game. It's also a little bit more expensive. Not saying that it's not worth it because there's so much content packed in this game. It is definitely worth its value, and any gamer would love to have this in their collection.
But these are the things you have to consider when you're
exactly, because we're talking about like what can we throw in there. I think innovation for me is a really big factor. Looking at the historic kind of winners of these awards, with both, I feel like both the Spiel and the Kennerspiel, they celebrate new things that just have not been done as much. And although none of these are new concepts or new ideas, I think Faraway does something out of the box more than the other two. And I think it takes that really simple element and condenses into that like brain burning experience. And I do think there's a lot of replayability in this game because I think you can come back the way that you have the cards. Your story is always going to be looking different. You're never going to go through the entire deck. You're always really exploring what is going to happen there and where and there and all the realms and about. But I also think it's going to be really close because I think this one does such a great job of integrating various mechanics in such a light way, but in a way that it makes sense and is so easy to show different people what games could be. I think that makes Loot really exciting. Endeavor does a very similar thing, but kind of a level up. The table presence is absolutely fantastic. Exploring all the sea, exploring all the tiles, it's so wonderful. But I just have an inkling that Faraway will just slide in there by a hair. And I think it deserves to as well. Of course, I would love to see Endeavor Deep Sea win. I think all of these could win. But that is the whole point of this video, is to talk about these games and tell you how great all of them are.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't wait for 1 year where one of them is just not good. And we're just like, get out of here, game. We don't like it.
I don't think that's going to happen. We're talking 3 games that get like nominated a year. And there's so many games that come out and so many games that don't make it even to the recommended list that are good.
What would the gang replace?
For me, it would have to replace Loot.
Same. Yeah. The gang should have been in here. I don't think I said it would have won.
That's a hot take right there.
Actually, I maybe could have said it would have won. Yeah. No, it should have won.
I think you probably would have said it should have won because you really like that game.
The gang is just, it takes such a institutional moment in life of poker, which everyone
institutional moment.
It's an institutional moment in life.
I guess.
People know what poker is. People have played poker. They have some sort of experience with them. And it gamifies it. It introduces a huge, but maybe that's a case to make it for a spiel instead of a Kennerspiel because it's more of like the broader audience. But I digress.
Yes, we are talking about these 3 games.
And we have given our opinion. Both Tyler and I think that Endeavor should win, and I think Faraway will win, where Tyler thinks Endeavor should win. Now,
will win.
Will win.
Yeah.
Correct.
Should and will.
Should, will, and maybe can.
Well, it definitely can. It's nominated.
Now, any last thoughts?
No. Well, yes. Go out and try these games. Go out and try all 3 of these games. Take a look at what the Kennerspiel actually is and maybe make an informed decision yourself. Like, which game would you like to see at the top? And let us know down in the comments below because that's our question of the day.
Which of these have you played? Which do you think will win? Which do you think should win? Is there another snub that we didn't talk about?
Ooh.
Maybe.
Maybe.
And also, to Tyler's point, recommend these games to your local game store, to your board game cafes, because they're wonderful and they represent a good status of the hobby right now.
Exactly.
So we'd love to see them played. We'd love to see your experiences about them. And with all that said, thank you so much for making it this far in this video.
And if you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, because we love talking about board games.
And the more that we talk about it, the more videos that come out. And you can hit that little bell so you know when every one of our videos comes out. And you can jump in, you can answer a question of the day, we can talk to you, you can join our Discord, you can have
keep an eye out for giveaways.
Beautiful time. We do have giveaways.
Yeah.
Do we have giveaways this
time?
Well
done. Well, good little smooth transition in there.
And with that transition, I'm leaving.
We'll see you in the next one. Bye.